Hi, this is Rabbi Jeremy Fenster for Talmud Brilliant. Welcome. Up till now we've been discussing in this last, I think, 3 or 4 videos, we've been talking about the decision-making process, the give and take, the negotiation that goes on in the Talmud's process, and about an idea. We've been talking about that what we focus on and what is being negotiated is an idea, how it gets, and we'll see how it gets modified, how it gets strengthened or weakened. Now we want to go on. Now we finished that. I want to get into the parts. The parts actually the process. Those were like phases, the beginning, the clarification of the idea, the assessment of it, and then the deciding or the determining of whether to accept it or reject it. We kind of spoke about that in general. Now I want to get specifics. There are 7 tools, which is going to make it handleable. 7 tools that the discussion is divided into. The discussion as a unit is called a sugya. That has in it the steps of clarification and assessment and decision. It's called a sugya. In many yeshivas today, they have a completely different meaning for sugya, but in the Talmud study itself, that's what it means, the complete discussion. It's broken into 7 parts. These 7 parts happen over and over and over and over again. They're like a plumber's tools. When a plumber comes to the house, he's going to carry his essential tools. And with his tools, he can fix many, many, many things. These 7 are used in every Gemara and in every negotiating, decision-making, give and take process. And it doesn't make a difference, by the way, where you are in the sequence. They'll be used, they're your tools if you're going to be in the phase of clarification, trying to understand what the idea is about. They are going to be your tools that you're going to use when you're in assessment. They are the tools you're going to be used in the last phase of the actual decision making. That makes no difference. These we have to become fluent with. And there's a tremendous gain to identifying and being aware of what step the Talmud is moving in, or for ourselves to be aware what's happening in a discussion between us and somebody else. If you can do that, wow, you have made a big step. And of course, they will help each other. The more you can do it, identify it in the Talmud, the better and clearer your thinking will be. The more your clearing and thinking will be, the better as your learning in the Talmud would be. So now let's get to those 7. These 7, I affectionately call the Magnificent 7. So I know I'm probably dating myself when I make that movie reference. Of course, we could even talk about the 7 Samurai, but we won't go there. So now the Magnificent 7. I will explain to you simply what each one means, though you probably can figure out most of them. In later videos, we'll get more specific, because these are all the general terms, the general ideas. They have specification, which we will get to. But first, let's just go through them, the general ones. First of all, when I say statement, I also include an idea. The decision-making process, as we've spoken about, can be about the way someone states something, or the idea that he's behind, the idea that he's alluding to in his words. The difference between that we'll get to in the future. So you can have an informational question, and you can have the person responding to the information that's requested from him. You can have a criticism, where the speaker or the idea, as we've spoken about, will be in conflict with the statement or the idea. Criticism, big, lot to talk about criticisms. Person doesn't like it, it's no good, there's many different things. As we know, when we get criticized, we're very sensitive to it, whether we're totally aware of it or not. And also in the Talmud discussions, we'll have a lot of possibilities we'll get to. Then you have the response, or as we spoke about, the removal of the criticism. And it has different forms, deflections, and actual solving the problem. And then you'll have the supports against, or supports no, a support against that idea. Or you'll have a support for that idea. Yes. A support, no. Yes, supports are going to mean, whether they use this way or that way, is you're wrong. If it's a support no, you're wrong, but I can prove it. Or a support yes means you're right and I can prove it. That's going to be, there's going to be a difference between a criticism and a support depending on that proof of I can back up my words, my idea. I want to tell you these in Hebrew. So a statement will be a memra. A question will be a she'ela, she'ela. An answer will be a tshuva. A criticism will be a kasha. A response will be a teretz. A support against or no to a certain idea will be called a stira. And a support yes will be called a raya. So those are the Magnificent Seven. We are going to get to them. There's a tremendous gain knowing that everything, any statement or any step in the Talmudic discussion is going to be one of these seven. And pushing ourselves to identify what we've read as, well, what was that? These are all, I should explain, these are all purposes. It was what that person said, he was bringing a question. What that person said, he was answering the question. He was criticizing. We're not getting into the content of it, but we're getting in terms of the functionality. What was the purpose in the back and forth, in the negotiation, in that dialectic, in that give and take? That's what these are. Everything will come into be one of these seven. Even if a person's telling a story, which is something we'll get into later, it will all come into one of these seven. And there's a tremendous gain in understanding if you work, if you know these and you work to say, what was that? You ask yourself, what was that? And you have to define for yourself what it was. Tremendous gain. We will get in further videos the relative strengths of these or how they actually accomplish their said purpose. That comes later. But very, very important. One last thing, we'll end with this. You should know that the sequencing within the give and take of these is very specific in the Talmud. Again, the Talmud is a highly edited text, and it is prioritized. And it's essential to the understanding of what they wanted to understand, the order and how they work. Why that is, we'll talk later in later videos. Remember that these are the generals, there's specification when it comes to that, which we'll leave for later. First, get the generals and use them. These are your tools. They are everywhere. And a tremendous gain becoming familiar with them and using them. This has been Jeremy Fenster for Talmud Brilliant. Please hit the like button, click the like button, subscribe, go to our website, talmudbrilliant.com. Leave me an email. Please be in contact with me. I want to hear what interests you, what you understood, you didn't understand, what you would like me to address. We're doing this for you, and we hope it's helpful. So till next time, thank you. Keep your mind moving.